The quiet town of Tonbridge, in Kent, is not the kind of place you would associate with one of the most daring crimes in British history. But in February 2006, it became the centre of a heist so bold, so meticulously planned, and so unbelievable, that it still stands as the biggest cash robbery ever committed in the United Kingdom. This is the true story of the Securitas Depot robbery, where a group of determined criminals walked away with more than £53 million in cash. What happened that night shocked the country, embarrassed the authorities, and revealed just how vulnerable Britain's financial infrastructure could be. The Securitas Cash Depot in Tonbridge was one of the most secure cash handling facilities in the UK. Every day it processed millions of pounds for banks, businesses, ATMs, and branches all across the country. At any given moment, the depot could contain as much as £150 to £200 million in cash. It had thick concrete walls, barbed wire fencing, steel-reinforced doors, and a maze of internal security protocols. But, despite its fortress-like appearance, the criminals discovered something the architects didn't expect. The easiest way inside wasn't by breaking in. It was by using the people who worked there. The mastermind of the heist was a man named Lee Murray, a former MMA fighter with a reputation for being both fearless and highly intelligent. Murray had connections to organised crime, but more importantly, he had patience. He spent months studying the depot, watching the staff, and learning the routines. He knew when the manager left, when the night shift began, and how the security systems worked. But he also knew something else. A vault is unbreakable. A human being is not. On the evening of February 21, 2006, the heist properly began. The depot manager, Colin Dixon, was driving home on a country road near Maidstone when he noticed flashing blue lights in his rearview mirror. Believing he was being pulled over by police, he stopped his car. Two men, wearing what looked like police uniforms, approached him. They spoke firmly, showed fake police identification, and instructed him to get out of the vehicle. Within seconds, Dixon was handcuffed, blindfolded, and forced into the back of another car. What he didn't know was that this was just the first part of the criminal's plan. While Dixon was being abducted, another group of the gang moved to target number 2, the manager's family. The criminals broke into Dixon's home and kidnapped his wife and their young son. They told them that if Dixon did not cooperate, they would all be killed. The threat was real, and the fear was overwhelming. The gang knew that fear was their most powerful weapon. They didn't need guns. They needed obedience. Early the next morning, still terrified and unsure whether his family was alive or dead, Dixon was driven to the Securitas Depot and forced to walk in as if it were a normal workday. He was instructed to act naturally. Security cameras captured everything, but no one knew the horrors unfolding off-screen. Inside the depot, staff members carried out their routine tasks, unaware that they were about to become part of the biggest robbery in British history. Once inside, Dixon gathered as many employees as he could and explained the situation. The criminals followed in, wearing masks and carrying weapons. They moved fast, controlled the staff, and forced their way into the secure loading area where cash was sorted and stored. At that time, the depot was overflowing with money. It was payday week for many companies, and millions of pounds in banknotes were piled inside cages, bags, and crates. Over the next hour, the gang loaded cash into a 7.5-ton lorry. They grabbed £53,116,760 in used banknotes. They tried to take more, but the truck physically didn't have enough room to hold the additional cash. Ironically, the size of their own getaway vehicle prevented the heist from being even bigger. While loading the money, The criminals remained calm, organized, and disciplined. They spoke quietly. They avoided unnecessary violence. They acted as if they had rehearsed the operation 100 times. When the lorry was finally filled, the gang tied up the staff and escaped into the night. Not a single shot was fired. Not a single person was killed. And in less than 2 hours, Britain had lost more than £53 million in physical cash. It was the biggest robbery the country had ever seen. The police response was immediate and massive. More than 100 officers were assigned to the investigation, and the case quickly became one of the most expensive manhunts in British history. What the robbers didn't realize was that, although they had planned the heist brilliantly, their escape plan was deeply flawed. The first mistake the criminals made was underestimating surveillance. Britain has one of the highest CCTV densities in the world, and detectives used the footage to trace every vehicle the gang used. The second mistake came when one of the gang members tried to exchange large amounts of cash too quickly. Suspicious behavior drew attention, and officers soon connected several suspects to Lee Murray. Police discovered that Murray had fled to Morocco shortly after the heist. But catching him turned out to be far more complicated than they expected. Morocco does not extradite its citizens, and Lee Murray had a Moroccan father. That allowed him to claim citizenship and protection from extradition. British investigators flew to Morocco and worked with local authorities, but the legal battle dragged on for years. Finally, in 2010, a Moroccan court sentenced Murray to 10 years in prison for his involvement in the Securitas robbery. His sentence was later increased to 25 years. He remains in Morocco's Kenitra prison to this day. Back in the UK, the rest of the gang began to fall apart. Several members were arrested after police discovered cash hidden in storage units, garages, and even buried underground. One of the kidnappers was caught after bragging about the robbery at a bar. Another suspect was traced through a mobile phone he accidentally left behind during the heist. By 2008, most of the primary suspects had been convicted and sentenced to long prison terms. But here's the part that still shocks investigators today. Despite dozens of arrests, years of searching, and one of the most expensive investigations in British police history, more than £32 million of the stolen cash has never been recovered. It simply vanished. Some believe the money was smuggled abroad. Others think it was burned, laundered, or hidden so well that it may never be found. To this day, it remains one of the largest missing sums in UK criminal history. The Securitas Depot robbery wasn't just a crime. It was a demonstration of how human psychology can defeat even the strongest security systems. No amount of fences, cameras, or steel doors can prevent a robbery if criminals can control the people inside. It also exposed major flaws in Britain's cash handling procedures, leading to new security reforms and tighter employee protection measures across the country. The case changed the way cash depots operated, adding new panic systems, better training, and stricter employee safety regulations. But it also changed something deeper: public awareness. People realized that even the safest-looking institutions were vulnerable when criminals were organized, patient, and ruthless enough. Today, the Securitas robbery remains a symbol of criminal ambition pushed to its extreme. It was not a random act. It was not chaotic. It was a carefully engineered operation carried out by people who believed they could outsmart both security systems and law enforcement. And for a moment they did. But in the end, greed, mistakes, and pressure tore the gang apart. The police caught most of them. The mastermind ended up behind bars in a foreign country, and millions of pounds disappeared into the shadows. As we look back at this incredible event, the story continues to fascinate, confuse, and amaze people around the world. How did ordinary men pull off a robbery that looked like something from a Hollywood film? How did they plan it so well yet fail so spectacularly afterward? And where, even now, is the missing £32 million? Thank you for watching British Economic Archives. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most unbelievable crimes in British history, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who loves true crime and economic history, and subscribe for more incredible stories from the financial past. Your support helps us explore more real events, more hidden histories, and more fascinating cases like this one. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video.